everyone. Hope all of you are doing really well. Thanks so much for joining us on time. Really appreciate that. Okay, I am going to enable the chat. Please let me know where all are you all joining us from. Maybe if you could put it in the chat box. I can see participants who started joining us. Would you like to share where are you all joining us from? There's a Nisha, there's a Noma, Govind, Harshita, Isha. Maybe somebody could volunteer and help us understand where all are you joining us from, just to contextualize this discussion today. Soumya has raised the hand. Okay, one second. Okay, I think you would be able to put your comments now in the chat box. 1 second. I will probably just enable that. I think you should be able to put your comments. So can you, all of you, share where all are you joining us from before we kickstart? Okay, Govind is a leader, and that's exactly what we'll be talking about in today's webinar. Also, we'll be discussing about certain important questions that are asked in your B School interviews. And one important thing that B School are looking at is your power of taking initiative. So clearly, Govind has almost mastered that, has nailed it. So thanks so much, Govind, for starting that. Name is joining from Jamnagar, Nisha. Good evening, Soumya. Hi, Anoma. Ronak. Okay, Anoma's from Pune. Ronak from Bombay. Apara Ghosh from Bombay. Soumya from Varanasi. That's interesting. Sneha Varghese is joining us from Allahabad. Anisha's from Delhi. That's great. Maybe you can visit us. We're just very close to Delhi NCR area. Wow, Rohan is joining us from Gurugram. So definitely a campus visit is something that we want, okay? We've got Shantini from Calcutta. We've got Vishakha from Nasik, Malaya Vardhan from Patna, Karnataka. Great, that's interesting. So we've got a pan-India presence so far. So that's incredible. I welcome you all to today's webinar. And this webinar is a sort of an interview masterclass that we're able to see, and always keep this in mind that whenever we are talking about your overall preparedness, interview plays a very critical role. So a lot of times, when we have these fancy CAT percentiles or good NMAT score or good ZAT scores, it's not really over yet. The battle has rather just started, because now, after you've just completed the bare minimum benchmarking, but the interview is still left, the interview process is still left. So that is something which is really important. Okay. Yes, Soumya, we will talk about Soils College program. Also, we keep on conducting these webinars, and we will, of course, share that. Now, to anchor today's entire discussion, we will be anchoring it with respect to a presentation that I'll be presenting in front of all of you. This will help you get proper understanding of what are the things that you have to keep in mind. It is overall very, very helpful for your overall preparedness, also for other B School entrances. And the basic maxims, the basic principles of interviews actually remain the same, right? They're actually immortalized altogether. Let me know in the chat box whether you're able to see the presentation or not. I will just come onto the chat box again. 1 second. I'll just probably remove can you all see the presentation is visible? Yes, Soumya has affirmed. Thanks so much for confirming. So like I said, I welcome you all to this webinar. In this particular webinar, we will be looking at what are some of the best practices when we're looking at a B School interview. We'll also be talking about the three most important questions. Actually, this is a part of the three buckets that you're having in a B School entrance that you have to be very mindful about, that you need to be aware about. So always keep that in mind. And hopefully today's session will enable you to be better prepared for all your B School entrances, will help you to introspect a little more, will overall ensure that you are putting the best foot forward. All of you are capable. It's just that now, how do you present that capability becomes really important. So hopefully this webinar will enable you to understand those aspects. And this is like an interview boot camp masterclass. You can always keep this video handy. The PPT you can revisit. The questions will really be very helpful. Towards the end of the webinar, I'll also say, if you want any support, feel free to write back to us. Like, if you want any support to frame an answer, you want to rehearse a question, or you want to probably show your video recording as to how you're coming across, we can always figure those details out. Okay, now the agenda is really simple, but before I state the agenda, always remember that you are never rejected for an interview. You are just not suited for that interview. And I would really like to start on that note. So never get disheartened. Don't take it too seriously, genuinely. Not that don't put your best foot forward. Of course, put your best foot forward. But at the end of the day, the stress is not worth it. Take it as a learning experience. Take it as an experience that enabled you to think back, that enabled you to reflect back. That is something which is really important. So there's this quotation also, and this is a quotation by Mr. D'Souza, who's currently leading Harvard Business School, and he's also been an employer. So he says that it's not that everybody is capable. Whoever enters a management education is capable, but the fact that there is this entire aspect of whether you're passionate, whether you are very well read, whether you have that childlike curiosity, that is so important. Here at Soil, we generally consider that your childlike curiosity is something that will differentiate you from the peers altogether. So the agenda is, we'll talk about some crucial pointers that you have to keep in mind. Then we'll come on to the 3 most important interview questions. We will also be telling you that how you can overall have a better interview experience if you are prepared. And I would always suggest, always have a post-interview reflection. Till the time you're not going to reflect, honestly, it's not going to be worth it, right? So give as many interviews as possible, but also reflect. After each interview, you need to reflect. After every interview, you must definitely reflect. You must definitely go back, revisit that what went well, what you can do better. At Harvard Business School, this is actually a key practice, and this is a key consistent practice across good B schools. They really encourage you. Even here at Soil, we have something which is called as your IDP, your individual development plan. And that individual development plan enables you to understand, keep yourself as a stakeholder. What do you plan to learn? How do you plan to make sure that you make the most of the learning opportunity? So that is something that this particular masterclass will help you understand better, that what are the things that you definitely have to keep in mind. So I'll keep it crisp, but yes, we'll discuss a couple of important pointers. Okay. All right. Now, one thing that I always say, and this is something like I started the webinar with, you are not going to be sad about it, because genuinely it's not a stressful experience. It's a learning experience. Interviews are not stressful. It's we who perceive interviews to be stressful. And that is the reason we often fumble. That is the reason we often are not able to put our best foot forward. And at the end of the day, please remember, they want to know more about you. They want to figure out whether you will be a good fit in the campus or not, whether or not you'll be able to do justice to the ethos and the values of the B school. That is something that they want to figure out, whether you'll be a peer who can actually add value to that overall experience. So that is something that they're really interested to figure out. They're really interested to know. Always keep that in mind. And I would say that always try and build a rapport. If you can figure out who's your interviewer quickly, a lot of B schools, they share, like they'll share that these are the people who will interview you. Quickly go over their LinkedIn profiles. Make sure that you've researched about them. You know something about them to actually build a rapport with them. So it's always a good idea to start building a rapport, start understanding them better, and just break the ice. Be the first person to break the ice altogether. That is also equally important. Additionally, always remember, you have to reveal your real personality. I'll give you this example. My first ever manager, she got selected at McKinsey, New York, and she was asked this question in her interview. And this particular, just 1 second. Right. I'm so sorry. Right. So what are we able to see? Like, she was asked in a McKinsey interview that, do you really relax yourself also? And she said she was trained to say a yes for everything. So she said a yes for this. And she said that, Nisha, I got a shock of my life. And why did she get a shock of her life? Because she's like, McKinsey, New York was like, you were working very hard from Monday to Friday. And then you were partying even harder on a Friday night. And she was not a party person. So basically, had she not lied, she could have probably chosen another alternate that was there. So it's very important for everybody to remember. It's very important for people to keep in mind that whenever we are talking about, whenever we are looking at these interviews, always try and reveal your true personality. They want to figure out whether you'll be a good fit. And if you're a good fit, trust me, you will have a fantastic B school experience. And a good business school experience will enable you to have better opportunities after the B school stint. So here also at Soil, we are very particular. We've got an appreciated style of interview taking. We make sure that we come to know whether a person is is he or she really looking up to design thinking, pedagogy, or liberal arts, because these are very critical things in the work world these days. Also, I let like I always repeat in an interview, the most important aspect is whether you know yourself really well. There is a Delphi oracle, and Aryan is saying I applied on December and it's been 6 weeks since my interview day and I've not received a notification. Aryan, we will be rolling out, but all the so-called results will be rolled out shortly. You will be notified. Okay, you will be notified. The interview processes are still going on. That's the major reason, but you will be notified, Bachche, so you don't have to worry at all. Okay, don't worry at all. And in case if you don't hear back from us in another fortnight, feel free to connect to the admissions team and they'll help you out. Okay, so don't worry about it. Okay, so there's a Delphi oracle which says know thyself. Like we would know everything, we would know about chat gpt or we'd know about other things, but we very often forget, we very often are not able to understand simple nuances about ourselves, and that is something which is really critical. Do we know, are we an introverted person or an extroverted person? When you enter a B school, the first month, a lot of psychometric tests are also taken to ensure, a lot of psychometric tests are also taken to ensure that you know your personality. Like there's a strength finders assessment here, there's like a personality assessment here, so that you know, because you'll be working in groups, you'll be working with students on case study solving. So that really becomes very important. Also, it's not a school exam. It's not like, if I forget the chemical equation, if I forget the rules of trigonometry, or if I forget certain things which are really important, like my rules of accountancy, I will, like, my paper goes haywire, I will not be able to get the percentage. No, it's okay. You don't have to mug up everything. A lot of times I see that people give this advice and I really get worked up. People are like, write each and every question, make sure that you are practicing it. No, just read as much as possible, just reflect as much as possible, just listen to good podcasts of people who inspire you the most. Content is automatically getting created. Your brain is still more powerful than any AI tool. Always remember that, because your brain only has created those AI tools altogether. So here you need to understand that I would not really say I and a lot of my own colleagues would actually say that please make sure that you write each and every. Yes, we do. Tulasi, do accept NMAT score. Rather, we are not we're a very profile based. We have a very profile based selection. So if we'd rather give our students a diverse experience, and also we have consortium partners. So we're also looking at the final placement. So at Soil, we've got a very innovative style of placement. We do not wait for your final semester to come and we'll start placing you like most of the B schools. We actually start the placement training as well as the placement outreach process from day zero. There's a well organized system in place for your career management support, because we think that your emotional independence, your financial independence is equally important for you to contribute. So that is how we feel. Okay, Right. Name is saying I was asked the name of India's president. Obviously, I know, but I could not answer it as it was basic question, and I got shocked and nervous about it. Yeah, yeah. Of course, of course. These kind of incidents happen. We were also interviewing, and the student was asked who's the president, and the student immediately said Narendra Modi. And I remember my co-panelists laughing. But that's okay. We don't really want, because I don't think your management expertise will be dependent on a question. Of course, you should know like that is of course there, but it's perfectly all right. So please always remember, don't be too scared about it, is what I'm trying to say. Enjoy the process. If you'll enjoy the process, you will transfer, you'll rub the energy onto people. And honestly, even here at Soil, maximum number of selections that we are doing so far are of people who are honest, who are candid, are of people who literally lay bare, are of people who have genuinely ensured that they've given some sort of thought to their candidature. And because those are the people that we want in our classrooms. Those are the people that we want, because it's a very high energy, high bustling, robust environment here at Soil, and we need active participation of students. So if you're going to be like a little lackadaisical, lack of passion and energy, you wouldn't be a good fit over here, and then you'll not even enjoy the process. So then what's the point also? Okay. So that is equally important. What is a ZAT score cutoff? Anoma, we will have a webinar where we'll talk about it. But like I said, we are a profile based B school. Your NMAT score, of course, our admissions team considers as a basic hygiene check. But even if you're not meeting the cutoff, we still give you an opportunity for an interview for sure. Okay. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay. What is the fee for the PGDM HR? So the PGDM program, that's a different program, child. That's a 2-year program. The PGPM HR program is a little different. That's 1 year. The PGDM in the second year, you get specialization opportunity. So then you can select HR, and that's 12.5 lakhs. It's all there on the website, and we can always have a webinar as well about the same. Uh, Okay, we'll be coming on to this, that how to answer. Okay, how to answer the question. Also, I would like to say that a lot of times this is what I've seen, that students who are having good knowledge of economics, what you can do is, even in the upcoming days, we are planning some really good knowledge booster webinars for all of you. There'll be master classes on product data, as well as economics. I'll tell you, if you anchor your discussion in economics, if you are able to and present that you know about the macroeconomic factors that are at play. Everybody is talking about tech layoffs, but what is the economics behind that? That is equally important, right? What are the macroeconomic factors that we are able to understand? Are you able to understand economics and anchor your discussion on various topics based on economic topics? It really shows very highly. And don't worry, we'll help you out with these things. We'll share the schedule also of such kind of webinars that will be coming. They'll really boost your knowledge, and you will be prepared for your day 1 or day 0 at a B school. And that is something which is really important. Okay, but do your homework, know your story, know about yourself. That is really important. Check the social media accounts, check the LinkedIn accounts of the college. Reach out to people from the college, get to know what is happening at the campus. For instance, if a particular college was hosting some event, know more about it. These 3 things are very important. Know about yourself, know about what is happening in the college, know about management concepts, economics, or at least have some business awareness. Any IPO that has taken place, anything which is actually going the rounds, like for instance, if we are talking about certain stocks coming up, or what is the entire reason or science behind that? No, well aware, because at the end of the day, remember, you're joining a management school, you're joining a business school, right? So that also becomes important. You can read you can probably read a Mint, or you can download FinShots. So FinShots gives you financial information on a regular basis. Because a lot of times, today I was interacting with a student, brilliant, he's a master's, and he's done his engineering from IITs. So I was talking to him, and he said that that ma'am, I'm struggling with finance, and he's an analytics major who's going to do his internship with Standard Chartered. So here, of course, you need to give that immediate, it won't be a miracle, right, when you come over here to understand the financial ratios. But if you've been following Then how do we invest in an IPO? You would have already done your background research. So I would say be very excited. And here there's a very interesting thing at Soil. Students actually fall in love with the case study methodology because every business case is so unique. You learn things in a better manner altogether. Coming on to the most critical part, and after that I will be coming on to all the questions as well. We'll be addressing all the questions, so I'll keep this a little short. Let me quickly share a couple of things and then we'll come on to the questions. Now, what are the most important questions? What are the three most important questions? We've already discussed that in the homework part. The three most important, what do you think? Let me ask you this question. What do you think are the three most important questions? Because then you are already thinking like a person will be interviewing you for the business school. Bhagat, you have a one major and one minor, so you can select two here at Soil. Tell me something about yourself. Absolutely right, the easiest question to spot but the most difficult one to actually give an answer to, right? So that is of course there. Why MBA? That's good. Or why? Yes, of course, especially in today's time where 10 years ago it was safe, it was the safest degree to fall back on. But now the entire dynamics have changed. People have started going towards executive programs, towards 1 year PGPM programs, towards programs that are 6 months accelerated management tracks. And why is that so? Because everybody knows about opportunity cost, and everybody knows that no matter what you study, this information will become obsolete by the time you'll be in the third or fourth year, and your loan repayment will only take like about 5 years to 7 years. So what's the worth also of getting into the rigmarole? Even Ankur Variku, who talks about financial independence and never taking personal loans, teaches here at Soil. He's taught courses in past in Soil. We've got him on our website as well. So you need to understand, yes, okay, who's your role model, right? The three very important questions, we'll discuss a couple of them. Absolutely right, most of you spotted right. I really love Pushpak, Jaiswal, Vishakha, name, Devanshi, everyone, excellent. Ronak, yes, Vishakha is on fire. She's answering all the questions correctly. Very nice. Bhagat Lal, yes, that's right. Okay, so what are we able to see? We are able to see that these are certain important questions that we have to be very mindful of, because technically these are the three broad buckets. So what's your story? And that starts with tell me about yourself. Okay, the second is about the college, like I told you. And the third most important thing is whether or not you'll be a good fit. I'll tell you why. Now, for instance, when you talk about programs like an ISB 1 year program, or even at Soil, the Soil PGDM program, the PGPM program that we have, these are very intensive courses. These are very, very intensive courses. So what we need to remember is that whether a child, so we'll be making this live. We interacted with our alum, and we interact with our alums on Fridays at 7 p.m. Feel free to join us for those sessions. They're also very interesting. So our alum shared a very beautiful thing that, that it was such a compact course of 1 year, the PGPM program, that there were so many things that were tied together, and there were sleepless nights that they had. And she even said that, after the PGPM program, no deadlines look very no deadlines look as though you have to stretch, because we had already stretched at that time. So here, if somebody is coming, we are trying to look at whether they have the ability to stretch or not. So understand that whether or not you'll be an overall fit for the program is really important. Okay, that is something which is really important for us to figure out. So your strengths and development areas is another important commonly asked question. So always remember, they want to know, what are you good at? What can I mention? What am I good at? Stakeholder management. All of you should know this. Why is stakeholder management important? Because when I start my B school, I need to remember that, okay, I must say it's actually very hot. Huh? Okay, right. Why MBA for English graduates? I will be telling Anisha, and this is something which is very close to my heart because I'm a literature majors from LSR. And I think we literature students are actually the best in management because there are so many things that we can actually learn, right? So always remember stakeholder management, negotiation skills, ability to stretch. You have the ability to stretch. If a task is given to you, do you just give in? Right? So that is also extremely important. That is also extremely important for you to keep in mind. Career vision, clarity. Do you know what you want to do? It's very simple. Just go on LinkedIn, figure out which domain. For instance, if I'm interested in analytics, try to look at data analyst roles. Try to look at the levels. What are the hierarchies? Try to look at companies that are into, so AI companies, they're usually smaller, but they get a lot of funding and they're self-sustainable. They can sustain only with their B2B model also. So what is your career vision like? And also this, I keep on saying, whether you want to be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond. Are you the person who wants everybody in your organization, the founder, to know you? Your generation wants flatter organization. Your generation wants flatter organizations, right? Okay, right. Big fish in a big pond will take a lot of time, right? So this will take, like Shubhra Bhattacharya, who's like, the India lead at KPMG in India. He says that it's like it looks rosy, but it takes a lot of your hard work. And of course, why MBA? Why management education? Because remember, there's this great professor who taught me, Professor Elkana Ezekiel. A lot of, like, the marketing knowledge that I have is through his lectures. And he says a very beautiful thing that the tools have changed. Perhaps we might have now gone to social media platforms, influencer marketing, but the basic principles of marketing remain the same. And that's the same with management. At the end of the day, management techniques would have changed, management would have evolved, but at the end of the day, profitability and revenue generation is very important. Is my to talk about Ashneer Grover's language, right? What is it? How much amount can I generate? That's something which is very important. Employees still want, if they're contributing 1 unit in you, are you able to produce 4 times more? That is a genuine ask. And if that is true, then nobody can ever, dethrone you from the position that you're having. It's a very simple logic there. So why MBA? Why management education? Why is it that you're passionate towards businesses, or do you even know how businesses run and function? That's important. That's critically important for everybody to understand and to know. Always remember, you can take a screenshot. These are some very, so there are two types of interviews: culture interview and skill interview. Culture interview is like about you. Skill interview talks about your technical knowledge. For instance, if I've written in my profile that I'm a finance major or I'm interested in finance, they can ask me about profitability ratios. They can ask me about fintech space. So you need to be prepared. You need to be absolutely prepared about your entire candidature. What are your inclinations, your company that you worked in? So many times we come across people who are working in companies and they don't know about their domain. They don't know about their industry. That reflects really poorly. That means you're not passionate about your industry. So if you're working in, say, education, are you aware about what is happening in the edtech space? Do you know about the recent investments or not? That's very critical, right? That's very, very critical. And that's something which is important that you must keep in mind. You can take this is a laundry list. Take a screenshot, practice these questions. And like I said, feel free to either mail it to us. I'll probably drop in my mail ID as well: neerja.raheja@soil.edu.in. Feel free to mark us an email if you want us to proofread any of those questions. We'll be more than happy to help you out, because at the end of the day, if you're prepared, you'll be more passionate, and that energy will automatically come across during the interview. And this is what I was telling you, that two major kinds of interviews. Culture is looking at the overall fit. Will you be able to fit in well? Because remember, the faculties are also there. The school symbolizes certain ethos. So it's very important for everybody to know these things, right? So culture interview, skill interview, technical aspects. Many times We have students who are like, I'm interested in marketing, but they would not know certain ongoing trends, or they would not know which are like, some of the best marketing campaigns that were run, like a cred campaign last year by Tanmay Bhatt. So then that reflects poorly that you're not passionate about what you're talking, right? So that is something which is important. Yes, tell me about yourself is the first most important thing. Prepare it really well. Go to your domain that, hi, I am say Anisha, and I did my majors in literature. I am a passionate learning and development enthusiast, and I wish to make my career in the L&D space. So you have to prepare. You have to prepare your, tell me about your elevator pitch. Here at Soil, we also have elevator pitch video submissions activity that we do, so that, you have crisp, neat introductions. You can give your business cards and introduce yourselves, right? You can just give your business cards and just like, be a pro, because so many events are taking place. Like as we speak right now, as students at Soil, you should check up and, also interact with Soil students. If you're considering Soil very seriously, they're all participating in the academic. So they have academies week, the AI week. And this is something which is modeled on Kelly Business School. So our founder, our co-founder, we've got all the leadership that we have at the Manesar campus, Sahil Sachdev. He's from Kelly School of Business. And there, he got to know about various, he had his good illustrious career of 7 years in the States in the finance domain. So you're able to see that those academies at Kelly School encouraged him to know more about, the financial space altogether, even though he was coming from a different space beforehand. So therefore, the leadership replicated the academy's models of best practices. And, Soil was actually presented as a case study at Harvard Business School. Some of the global best practices coming, and that's how you need to be updated with the management education that that you're a part of. Okay, the second category. So 3 questions. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your profile altogether, but why this B school? And overall, seeing whether you're going to be a fit for the B school or not. Those are the 3 broad buckets. But please remember, this is something which is very important. I know you must have heard about it, but just reiterating. And like I said, we are not of the opinion that you have to rehearse. Just read, introspect automatically. Maybe take, like, like we say, take a blank sheet of paper and just put web charts. Do a milestone. I'll recommend all of you do these activities. They'll really help you. Do the milestones activities is, for instance, if all of you were born, I think, say you people are mostly of my brother's age, my kid brother's like 1998. Maybe you must be like 2000, 2002 perhaps, right? So 2002 all the way till say 2023, right? 2023. What are the positive milestones that you had? What are the negative milestones you had? Right? What were the 3 positive milestones that you had? Maybe you got the Vedvati Vidyalankar Award. Maybe you got into a college of your choice where your mother went. Maybe you got your first car and you made your first million. Then the 3 negatives that you had, maybe you lost your grandfather, both your grandfathers, you lost your father, and maybe, like, you had a tussle with your brother that impacted you. So these are things that impacted you and that have shaped you, right? So do this milestones activity, and also do a 6 months envisioning activity. 6 months envisioning activity is an activity wherein you are predominantly, what are you essentially doing? You are predominantly envisioning where are you right now. You're doing a temperature check, and where do you want to be? And always remember that your previous accomplishments will actually indicate whether you have that strength, that grit, that courage or not. That is something which is very important. At any B school interview, there are 4 skills which are very important. If you won't keep it brief, if you will not be able to simplify complex things, forget about your entry. We don't want a complicated people in B school. But you need to simplify. As Chetan Bhagat says, it's really difficult to actually make a complex thing simple. And that's genuinely true. Being brief is actually a challenge. That is the reason in your VAT, your written ability test, it's so difficult to condense that information and put it across, right? You have to be very persuasive. And this is something, are you able to justify? You should be able to substantiate. For instance, if you say stakeholder management, what is stakeholder management? Having multiple people to deal with. And are you able to do that without, so many times, when you have stakeholder management, people actually either get fed up or they land up, making some enemies. Are you also doing that? Then that's not a good idea at all. Work prioritization. So there's a very interesting activity that we do here at Soil that's called the new SMART goals, not the old SMART goals, the SMART, so old SMART goals were specific, measurable, action oriented, relevant, and time bound. But here at Soil, we do the new SMART goal activity that is small wins, right? Small wins. And basically, new SMART goals are towards consistent efforts, because if you don't put consistent efforts, you will never be able to accomplish anything. So are you able to prioritize? Do you know what is important? Honestly, when you start being in B school, you will have to be deadline oriented. That is what we teach them through their academic activities, as well as their career management services activities and the other activities that they're doing. Also, please never ever waste the time of your so-called interviewer. Don't repeat at all, just say what is necessary. Genuinely, that is so important. That is the most critical thing, because if you won't really declutter and say the relevant things, then it's not you. You have to have the ability to condense and bring the most important pointers. That's exactly why you will be hired as consultants eventually, or as thought leaders. Here at Soil, we believe in creating thought leaders. So the minute you enter the portals of Soil, we are actually seeing the ability in you to become a thought leader. And thought leader is anybody who just has transfer of knowledge. Thought leadership is, if we are able to see, say, an Anisha or a Rohan or a Pushpak or a Jaiswal, all of you have the ability, all of you are having the ability to actually pass on the knowledge that you are having and create impact, create your own organic community, which is so important. Think about it, that if you have your own organic community of, say, even 1 lakh people or 10,000 people, and you want to sell a product, that's such a sweet space to be in. And that's what you're coming in for over here in a B school. You're coming over here to learn about revenue, profitability, management. How are you going to be managing? What kind of strategy will you be involving? How would you manage projects? So there's a very interesting course here, which is taught by a veteran. So here at Soil, we also have practitioner run curriculum. There's a course on project management that is ongoing right now. So if you touch base with any Soil student, they'll tell you about it. And this is not an academician who's teaching you. He's rather a person who's worked with Maruti for 7 years. His wife is still working at Maruti. And he's worked with organizations. He's a person with great agility when it comes to operations, supply chain. Imagine he's teaching you a course here. So it's a very practitioner-run curriculum, and that is something which is very important, okay? Saita saying you took my interview and I hope I get selected. 200% Saita. I think if you can perhaps partially help thank your stars, because I'm usually more interested in knowing more about you as a person. So, and that's exactly how others would also judge. So don't worry. Or not, judge is not a good word to be used. We'll evaluate your candidature. Good to see you, Saita. Of course, I remember. Good to see you. Good to see the comment here. Okay. Also, we do not want all sizzle and no steak. All of you coming with CAT NMAT preparation. Remember, verbal ability, your idioms and phrases, all sizzle, no steak. You have, you've created this big thing on the paper, the resume, the application, the SOP. But when it comes, you're literally not having any sort of fizzle, energy. It's basically false image that you've given. Right? A lot of times, like my brother, I think all his applications I had written. So genuinely, we are able to see, that is where we are checking. Are you genuinely having whatever you've written? So know your candidature really well. Oh, wow. 99 percentile in verbal and only 10 in quant. No worries. We'll work towards it. Okay. Okay, Pushpak is like, earlier you mentioned not to over prepare, but this all seems to be okay. Okay, this is a good feedback, Pushpak. I will take it. So like I had also said, this is a master class. We wanted to condense everything and churn it out so that, even if you watch this one video, it should sort your aim and you will be better prepared. That was the overall aim that we had actually come up with. Also, please remember, till the time you do not introspect, you will never be able to answer. Of course, I can remember. I think Saita was very honest about herself. And I'm assuming, Saita, you should be expecting good news to come then your way from soil at least. So it is very important for everybody to make sure that you're reflecting. Honestly, like, we all try to know, like, I think sometimes we have our low days, we have our high days. We don't really have the true essential personality. But of course, still knowing ourselves a little better can always be good. Okay. Um, Okay. Also, please remember, childlike curiosity is something. There's a beautiful thing that is always said. Are you forward bending? So if you don't know something, that's all right. But if you are forward bending, that always shows humility. That shows character for me, right? And for everybody here. So if you're humble, if you have the right attitude, if you are having that childlike curiosity, and if you're a little forward bending, there's no harm. There's no harm at all. So it's always a good idea. So please be ready. Please be ready to showcase all of this. That is something which is really important. This is again a list of questions. Walk us through some parts in your SOPs. If you're a person with experience, you can get this question about why did you shift from company A to company B, and did you face problems in adjusting? You can always be asked such kind of questions. Were you concerned about disappointing anyone? Or even if endurance is something which is very important, did you show the virtue of endurance? Did you give it up very easily? So that is also something which is really important for you to keep in mind. Okay. um you can take a screenshot. These are some questions that we've been observing interviewers ask. We've been observing across good B schools ask in their interviews. You can always keep this in mind. You can always just think about it. And what is a way to prepare for an interview? These questions, ask yourself, and just imagine yourself to be giving an interview, right? Imagine that you've just opened your biggest D2C business, direct to customers business, and you're giving an interview, and these are the questions that they're asking. Do a little bit of role play. That'll energize you even more, and then answer these questions. Practice them. Now I come on to the end of this webinar, and I'll be looking at the questions also. But please, a humble request, always do a post interview reflection. No matter how many B school interviews you've given, no matter how confident you are, no matter how well you've performed in the mock interviews, always do a post interview assessment. That, okay, this is something that I answered well, I can keep it. This is something, so you can always just put it across in a journal. Just put it across in a journal. Just write it down that, yes, these were the things that I answered well. These are the things that I can work about better. Just put it across, just the questions. Okay. Or just the pointers that, okay, this went well. And like I said, it's always a good practice to actually reflect 3 things that you did well on the day and 3 things that you can do better. That is always a good idea. So that's, oh, Vishnu Prasad already, like, he's like, okay, thank God it's over, huh? So he's already saying thanks, ma'am. I hope so that, I didn't put all of you to sleep for sure. I'm now coming to the questions. I'm here for the next 10 to 12 minutes to take all your questions, so shoot. And I'm putting down my, you can reach out to the admissions team. You can also reach out to us if you want any support. It's neerja.raheja@soil.edu. .edu.in. Please feel free to connect with us, and please feel free to make sure that, if you want any help, any support, the N is not capital. Feel free to reach out to us. Reach out to admissions. My colleague Aishwarya will share the admissions website as well in a bit. Please feel free to reach out to us. I think at the beginning somebody had asked about their results. Let us know. We'll help you out with that. Okay. All right. I'm coming on to the Q&A right now. 1 second. Okay, Saita's asked to introduce yourself. Should we list our achievements again, which are already mentioned, or talk other instances of life in the intro? That's a very interesting question. Like I said, never repeat yourself. So it's always good, Saita, to say that I'm Saita Nigam and I'm from XYZ place, or, I hail from. So there's this student that we have in the second year. His name is Deepak Pandey. And we were doing this mock activity with him. He introduced himself really well. He said that, I'm Deepak Pandey and I hail from the land of Lord Krishna, where pedas are really popular. And my cousin also, she got selected in a B school abroad, and she had written her application really well. She's like, I come from Gujarat, the land where literally every second person is either a businessman or is going to towards to take his management education. So this is like a cultural attachment, so you can always just contextualize. They would know that you have collective unconscious of the culture also, so that's also always a good idea. But that's a good question. I think personalize. My answer to this question will be personalize, Saita. Personalize it altogether. Okay, Vishaka is like, what is your USP? So, Vishaka, I think passion, energy, and this is something that you can't fake it. This needs to show. For instance, I think anytime whatever is making you, right? What is your unique ability to stretch? Now, in your times, EQ is not important. Emotional intelligence is not important. AQ is important. What is AQ? AQ is adversity quotient. You people fall down and you're like so nimble, then you get like devastated. You don't have endurance mostly. But you need to show that no, because you're so intelligent, Gen Z is so intelligent that yes, you also have the adversity quotient, you have endurance. That is also equally important. All right. Okay. So I hope this answers. When will the results be out? The results should be communicated to all of you. Otherwise, please write it to the admissions team. Can you please show the frequent question slide, Malaya? For sure. Also, we will be uploading the entire recording on our Soil social media platform. Please feel free to refer back to it. Do we need to be certain about 7 to 10 year goals? Won't they fluctuate? Yes, of course. Say that, Shreyansh. Say that my goals might fluctuate, right? Or we don't know so what is this? This is a VUCA world. It's a changing world. It's a very ambiguous world that we are in. So you can always say that, in today's age where everything is changing or at a swift pace, we can't really predict how the world will shape up. However, having said that, I definitely see myself as a management professional. So that is something that you can always mention, right? Ma'am, as a fresher, what to answer post MBA plans? Like, we don't have knowledge about the roles which we want. That's a very good question. So to answer this, we will be starting. We'll share the details. We're coming up with a webinar series. There'll be like 5 to 6 good webinars on economics, product, data, finance, and these will leadership. They'll really help you understand the nuances, because one question that students ask is, what should we prepare before coming to the B school? And these questions will really address all those questions, and I think you'll be better prepared. So Anonymous, I will ask you to stay tuned, and please be with us for these master classes. And in case, after that, I'll probably ask you this question, that have you got clarity or not? Okay. You've submitted your application. Prasanna, you should be hearing back, but if you don't hear back, please write it back to the admissions team, Bache. I've left my job in April for Air Force SSB, but got a conference out last day. Then I decided to prepare for MBA entrance, but telling only this thing seems dull. No. You can always say that I took a sabbatical and I wanted to explore myself. And during the exploration, I started preparing for government B schools, government entrances. And that is when I learned a lot about management and how the entire work world is shaping up. And I got very interested and I want to know more. So I want to increase my knowledge curve about how businesses work, how strategies are implemented. Of course. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Pushpak is like, those webinars will definitely help. I'll probably take a screenshot and share it with the team as well. So they have proof of, I'll probably take a screenshot for sure of this, so that, when I'm submitting that masterclass plan, I can actually append that. So taken, duly noted. Do we need to study current affairs? I think, Anisha, don't study, but start following. Honestly, I have grown up in a family where my Dadaji, he was a retired IS officer, and I think from 8 p.m. to 11:30, there'd either be in one room, that's my Dadaji's room, there'd be BBC and CNN. And in the other room, my mom, she would in those days, NDTV used to be there. Now NDTV has lost the charm. And it's accused of certain political ideology. But having said that, I've actually grown up in that atmosphere, and now sometimes I feel really bad when I'm not updated or I'm not aware about what is happening around. So I It's actually just developing this habit. And I think if you develop this habit, it'll really help you in the long run as a professional in the management space. Trust me. If you don't know what's happening, how would you hold those conversations? How would you understand? How would you be a good consultant? How would you be able to enable businesses to position themselves well? It'll be difficult. So start developing this practice. Okay. Any tips for online interview? I think make your presence felt, have a clean background, or probably put a background. Otherwise, just make sure. And like I said, don't sit like this for an online interview. Don't sit like this, or don't sit like this. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No. So it has to be like really prim and proper. Your shot should be coming in. Your face should be visible. Those are basic hygiene. And internet. Oh my God. So many times. I think Saita's interview. No, Saita's what? There was one child, I kid you not, it was such a pain, very good student, but the internet would go away. Now, when you know that there is a B school interview, why would you not have proper internet connection? What to wear on online? Of course, I think wear business formals, and don't just wear business formals, because sometimes the recruiter might just like the upper part, wear it entirely. So maybe what if the recruiter asks you that, okay, you need to stand up. So it shouldn't be that, you're shabbily dressed. So that should not be the case at all. So please be well prepared. Hygiene check should be good, well groomed altogether, properly, neatly sitting. Okay. I think by and large, clean. Okay. Well, this is a good question. So my, like a lot of students also have asked, and my kid brother also, he's got long hair. But surprisingly, he actually got, he's in another B school, and he got like one of the highest placements there for 24 lakhs. And he's actually having long hair, but he's able to justify. He says that I'm a theater personality. Like he does theater. So as long as it goes consistent with your narrative, it's fine. But obviously, too much of beard, and if you're looking like a saint, then they'll say like, okay, you better go to, some preaching ground or something. So it's ideally not recommended. Okay. So does English fluency matters? Okay, see, like I said here, it's not about English fluency anymore, but your business knowledge is very important. If you are able to do that, I think you're all Ashneer Grovers and Ankur Variku's generation. So as long as you're able to communicate with impact, and like I said, Ankur Variku has taught here at Soil. He's like, one of our visiting faculties here at Soil. So we think if you're able to communicate with impact, we're fine. And you have that business ability to think critically, I think we'll definitely consider your application. And we have a couple of students like that in Soil who are amazing when it comes to their leadership skills, when it comes to their stakeholder management skills, when it comes to their negotiation and overall adaptability. So, of course, definitely. Sometimes I find it hard to frame answers. I think go slow, take the question. Very recently, we were interviewing this girl and she was amazing, but every time she would say, can I take a moment to just to just organize my thoughts together? So that is what you have to do. Okay. Yes, Saita is like your Shark Tank generation, of course. Okay. Uh, okay. I think there are a couple of questions. Let's take one or two more before we wrap up. Okay, Vishnu Prasad is very interesting. MBA or executive MBA, which is better with 14 years of industry experience? Are you having 14 years? 200% go for an executive MBA, because you'll have like-minded peers, right? You'll have like-minded peers, or apply at Soil's PGPM program. We'd love to have you in the classroom if your profile makes the cut. I think that'll be making a very good discussion point, right? And that can be a good case study as well. And obviously, the consortium partners are always looking for people like that. So that is always a good idea. Okay, which major will be a good choice to land in IB? Finance or analytics? That's a very interesting question, Ronak. And this question is something which we will be talking about during our finance masterclass also, and data masterclass. Actually, a mix of both. There is a saying, even if you want to get like if you want to become a CMO, chief marketing officer, you need to know analytics. If you want to become a CHRO, you need to know analytics, because all your platforms are going to be working like that. So it's actually very important. Please remember that. Yes, please. Yes, please. Okay, I think feel free, like I said, feel free to, send us, keep in touch. I've already shared my mail ID. I'll probably do that. Aishwarya, can we also share the admissions team mail ID, please? Or our mail ID, Aishwarya, if you're there.
Yeah, I'll give you the number. You can I'll write the number.
Sure. So we will share all these details. Please feel free to touch base and keep in touch. Thanks so much everyone for joining us. We really appreciate that. And I will catch up with all of you in the upcoming webinars as well. Thank you so much, Aishwarya, for putting this together. There's a lot of hard work that she keeps on doing. So thank you so much.
No problem. Anytime.
God bless. God bless you all. Thank you and take good care of yourselves. Best of luck for the interviews. Bye.